restrict our constitutional rights to bear arms. It was you and your administration and your government that was facilitating these guns that have helped destabilize, to destabilize Mexico. That's the truth. So we're going to continue to tell the truth about this. I want to say I got to talk to Kent Terry, who he emailed me one time because he saw me on Fox News. Some of you, I've been on Fox News a couple times. We like Fox News. I can go on there and not be afraid of filtering the news. And I've been proud to represent the rule of law and to stand up for our state and represent our state and be proud as Americans to stand up and not be shouted down by our president. Somehow we're less than proud Americans because we're against what he's saying, we're against immigration or we're against a certain people. You know, and we look at this. I have 200 of my full-time staff who are Hispanic. What's the president saying about them? Right? And so Brian Terry's brother, Kent Terry, sent me an email. He said, Sheriff Paul, I want to thank you for standing up for all of law enforcement and standing up to expose this government for what they've done. And who speaks for his brother? Who speaks for a fallen hero on American soil who's a life of service to our country? And he was saying, he goes, you know, the government have never even apologized to me or my mother. And I said, Kent, not that can take away or restore your brother, but where's the honor of our country to lie as they have, to conceal the truth? And then Dennis Burke, who's this U.S. attorney from Arizona who just resigned, you know he was Janet Napolitano's chief of staff when she was the governor here. Did you know that? These people are all connected, okay? Well, he denied the Terry family just a routine motion to have victims standing in the court. That's how awful these people are that we're dealing with. So what we're going to do here tonight is we're going to expose the truth. We're going to hold our government accountable for their actions. And that here in America, that it's our chance and our opportunity as patriots to stand up for our country and say, no, we're not proceeding this way that our elected president has taken us. That we're going to stand up not just for the rule of law, that we're going to hold you accountable, because what we see in law enforcement, and this is Congressman Gosar, who's been a leader on this issue, was telling him, and I tell other people, if there's crimes committed in Pinal County, if there's a bank and somebody goes into the bank to rob the bank with a gun, and there's somebody driving the getaway car, or if there's a person who sells guns or gives guns to people who he knows or is likely to believe is going to go out and murder somebody, guess what we call those people? Accessories or accomplices. And they are charged with very crimes of the people who have committed them. What's different here? With literally leaders in our own government who are trying to say, we're going to talk further here tonight, but I want to introduce, and I've got a little bio information, Vince Sheffield. And Vince is an American patriot. And this man still works for the ATF. And now after 25 years, he served our country in the Marine Corps. And all Americans love our Marines. And 4 years as a police officer as well in Georgia. And I want you to welcome somebody who had the audacity, the courage to come forward because he knew that this was going on. And he wanted to expose the truth and to say, somehow this has to stop. And one man had the courage to start this. And this is our guy here tonight, Vince. I'd say, Vince, come on out here. This is an American patriot and hero for our country. though we don't look it. You know, he has a little bit more hair than I do. But I want to present him, those who serve in the military or paramilitary, we have a challenge point. And it shows it's a small token of appreciation. I want to present this to my brother in arms and a great American who stood up for America in the form of a handshake and a sign of friendship.
I'm going to go off on the script here for a minute, and the reason I am is because it's very important information that you took the time out to be here. But first, let me start off by saying I love Arizona. I love the Tucson Tea Party. You know what this tells me? It tells me people do care, and they're going to get back in the game. I want to thank the Congressman for taking the time out and being so important to these hearings and everything that's going on. And I'll tell you, to be honest with you, I'm just going to hit these and then I'm going to go totally off script because that's what I do. I catch bad guys for food. Okay, I already said good evening, right? The reason I am here, I've had offers. Again, Fox News has been a stalwart in trying to expose the abuses and the injustices that have occurred throughout this process. I've had offers to go other places that I've declined. I didn't decline here for two reasons. Because you people are at the forefront. Every time in California, I live in California, every time I turn on television, somebody in Arizona is standing up to the administration, standing up to the abuses, standing up. Protecting my border. I live here too. I'm an American, and as the Sheriff said, I served in the Marine Corps, and I want my border safe. I have kids, I have moms, I have dads. One dad. The other reason I'm here is because I've been fortunate enough in almost 30 years, well, it's a little over 30 years, spanning a law enforcement career that's brought me through Arizona on multiple occasions. And I have had the honor and the privilege of working with law enforcement, Arizona law enforcement. And let me tell you, they're the most devoted, dedicated, hard-nosed, aggressive law enforcement. You can go to sleep at night knowing that they are trying to provide a level of security to keep your family safe. And that's why I came forward in the first place. We weren't doing our part. The second reason is because my best friend, an ATF agent, Jay Dobbins, some of you know him, some of you have heard of him. Yeah, he definitely deserves a round of applause because he spilled blood. I was either smart enough or good enough in my travels, my undercover operations in Arizona, not to get shot. Jay wasn't so smart. But he spilled blood for his people, for his community, and that's why when he suggested, he encouraged me to come out here, I said absolutely. If it's good enough for him, if he thinks this is something that will get people inspired and get them out, and obviously it has. I'll tell you a little bit, I'm off script, forget the script, I'm done. That was a huge waste of time. I'm going to take you through a short scenario of sort of how this evolved for me. Because unfortunately, I have some ownership, whatever part of that is, because I watched the situation and the actions and the practices of not only our federal government, but my agency start to dwindle over the years. Lapses of integrity, self-promoting instead of public service, poor decision-making, waste, fraud, and abuse, gross mismanagement when it comes to our primary jurisdiction, which is affecting violent crime. Becoming less than apolitical when it comes to firearms laws. Contrary to popular belief, we are not the gun police. We are the police. We are the American police. We enforce the laws. We don't write them, and we should not concern ourselves with any administration's agenda regarding firearms registration, legislation, or otherwise. That's a good congressman and his co-congressman job to make the laws. ATF over the years has become more of a political entity. Our leadership dwindled. We've all lived pretty fat, pretty high in the hog for the years leading up to now. I'm not inferring that any of you don't have it hard now, because in some aspects I have it hard now. But we got complacent. We went along to get along, and that's what I did, and for that I apologize. That part of it not coming forward first. But let me tell you what happened. Of course, when it affected me, when Brian Terry was killed, when Jay Dobbins' house was burnt down, when Jay Dobbins' threats against him for a 2-year undercover operation in Arizona went unattended by my management, it made me mad. I got real mad. I started becoming vocal about the leadership, the senior leadership, the executive leadership in ATF. I was approached within 24 hours of making my intentions known that this will stop now, and told, you will if you want to be in Fargo, North Dakota tomorrow. I decided I wasn't going to Fargo, North Dakota. Nothing against North Dakota if you're from there. I would have gone if they'd asked me nicely. I serve at the will of the government, I always have. I've policed in every 50 states and in some foreign countries. It was the manner in which the threat was used that I would not expose what I knew, and I would be a good soldier, a blind follower, and not uphold my oath of office. And you know what? I went home that night and I was going to do it. Because I have kids that were in high school. They didn't want to move in their junior and senior year of high school. I didn't want to sell my house at a loss and move to North Dakota and come off the street. This is all I've done for my whole life. I was going to be stuffed away in a cubbyhole. But I went home and I couldn't sleep. And I looked at my kids and I remembered everything I told them. And sometimes I told them pretty harshly, just ask them. And I remember my son telling me, unchecked power corrupts. Yeah. So I spanked him. I came here to be honest. And I told him I was going to use that line here tonight because I realized that by not fighting the fight when I could have, maybe sooner, maybe louder, I allowed this machine, this internal institutional practice within ATF of abusing our authority, both against the industries we regulate, against the American people, and unfortunately against the Mexican people now. We've turned a blind eye for self-serving purposes. So I did come forward. Over the next 16 months, I was transferred 5 times, suspended twice, reprimanded twice, referred for a psych eval, terminated twice. I'll not be terminated in this lifetime, I promise you. And sometimes drastic things have to happen, I suppose, because in navigating through that and standing my ground, and you know, I looked at my kids and I looked at my wife and I said, let me tell you what's going to happen. And pretty much what I told you just happened. And they said, you do what you got to do. And so I did, and I'm currently under a proposal to remove for nothing more than telling the truth. They ought to try it. About the only thing they told the truth about was that when I was called at 8 o'clock that night and told I was going to Fargo, North Dakota, I was told that they were going to have their way with me, and we'll leave it at that. We all know what I was told. And they didn't lie about that. They used every mechanism to demotivate me, impact me personally, professionally, my family, my career. And like I said, I've told everybody, I will walk out of here the same way I came in, with my head up and hopefully having impacted some change. So I'm going to fast forward through some of my personal plight. As a result of that, because I've been around since we were almost a bureau, I know everybody in the bureau. And I started getting the outcries of support. What can we do for you? How can we help you? But then something bizarre started happening. My phone, my emails, my text messages started blowing up to the tune of 30, 50, 70 a day. Hey, I'm out here in Arizona. This is what's going on. Hey, I'm up here in New York. You know that the agency has allowed us to revoke federal firearms licenses behind this. These are regulatory people. These aren't agents like me, some of them. Then there's a lot of agents who came out. And it started getting overwhelming. Because I was in the mix, understood what it took to try to defend themselves or protect their careers and continue to do the right thing. So I started taking all the calls. It got overwhelming. A handful of us, and this is not about me, this is transcended Ben Sheffley, or whether they fire me, whether they promote me, it's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with you people in the room. What does have to do with you in this room is an agency that is significant, one of the few agencies that are granted their authority directly in the Constitution, can abuse that authority, and there is no level of checks and balances, no accountability. And to think that we could do this sort of operation, knowing that at the end of the day, there may be a dead ATF agent at the end of one of those guns, it nauseated me. It physically nauseated me, and it physically nauseated the agents across the country. So we started cleanupatf.org. We had approached the Attorney General, we had approached the Acting Director, every time I approached a senior member of management in Washington, I was told, you just violated the chain of command. You're suspended again. So I wrote the next one up the chain of command. And I was told, you're suspended again. That was fine, it's not a game, and I take it very serious. But I was hoping to not get that news I got on the day Brian Terry was killed. And when I first heard it, I said, it didn't happen. It couldn't happen. I don't care how out of control our agency is, that did not happen. And before the end of the day, I realized I had enough documentation. I had access to the necessary information file. It had happened. And my heart sank, and I shivered, and I couldn't breathe. And at that point, I decided there had been enough. Now, we've done a wonderful job. The agents, I'm so proud of Agent Dodge and Agent Canino, all the agents that have been talked about up here tonight. Local law enforcement, standing tall. This isn't, it may be their fight, and they're fighting it well because your safety was impacted by our negligence and malfeasance. But being here talking about it is not their job, but they're doing it. And in that, the agents are getting empowered. They're coming forward. Had I not put together this cleanup ATF and gave people a mechanism to put the information out without 5 transfers and 2 suspended, blah, 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 we would still be asking questions. And without the Republican Party, this is a no-brainer. I don't care who's president. I've served numerous presidents on both sides of the aisle, and I don't care, as long as they pay me the same paycheck. What I do care about is a government where the U.S. Congress can ask for documents from people like me who carry a badge, and that I can say no. I don't get to say no, not to the U.S. Congress, ever. I cannot say no to internal affairs investigators in my own agency. I cannot say no to the OIG. I can't say no to you. You guys pay my salary. The only authority I have is what you have given me and what ATF leadership has done, attempting to facilitate a higher agenda, and I don't know what that is because they didn't ask me. Quite frankly, I don't know what they were thinking, because nothing that they have portrayed they were thinking makes any sense. It defies logic, common sense. It defies our core beliefs and our training and experience as ATF agents. Now, the only thing left, and if they are successful in tamping this down, they being whoever is refusing to answer lawful subpoenas to the U.S. Congress, anyone who's not answering questions indirectly or failing to tell the truth, if it allows to go past this now, we're all done. We're done. Every one of us. Because the one thing, I get to do things that nobody in this room, unless you're a cop, get to do. I get to get on airplanes with guns. I get to break in people's doors. I get to listen to their conversations. I get to follow them around. I get to invade their sacred rights and their privacy. And I get to do that because I get to do it through very narrow parameters. And when those parameters don't apply, especially to the leadership, we're getting in dangerous water, because it all goes back to the Constitution. I know what I can do. My guys and gals know what they can do. They just didn't do it. All the hyperbole during the hearings, all the grandstanding about new laws, well, the leadership, well, if you had stronger laws, you didn't use the ones you had. We have because of the difficulties I've had with the agency, and make no mistake, I love ATF, I love the United States of America, I love carrying a gun in a bag. They won't ever change that. This is a small group of people who we've entrusted to make those decisions that have no accountability, and they need to be held accountable, because I promise you, if they are not held accountable, this will happen again. Will it be guns to Mexico? No, probably not. I think they kind of figured out that's a bad idea. It took them 2,000 guns to figure it out. I know, I get it. But it will happen. And I have nothing personal against the leadership of ATF, beyond the fact that the only thing I've ever asked for is put all the cards on the table. The truth is the truth. It'll never change. The only thing that changes is lies. And if Congress does not have the right to hold your appointed or elected or commissioned, in my case, officials, if I cannot be compelled to come before Congress and tell the absolute truth, regardless, and face the consequences, the system is broken beyond repair. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that we will not, we may never know exactly what happened and who did what here. I don't care. The congressman might. The sheriff might. They might need those details. All I need to know is it can never happen again. And and I can tell you, no one I know, no one I have ever trained, been trained with or by, has ever once walked a gun. I have never let a gun out of my custody or control that was going to or in the possession of a criminal element. I didn't always make a prosecutable case. I keep hearing that. Well, we couldn't make a prosecutable. I don't care. I don't care. As long as those guns are kept out of the hands who will do our people and the Mexican people harm. And I just want to piggyback what the good sheriff said, because enough has not been made of it. I don't live in Abortion. I'm from San Francisco. I'm married and from San Francisco. I love my city where boys will be boys and boys will be girls. But I grew up in large Hispanic communities around me. They're people too. And these people that are now being killed wholesale by guns we let go have not gotten enough attention, in my estimation. Clearly, the worst nightmare in a law enforcement officer's life is to have another law enforcement officer killed. And listening to Josephine Terry broke my heart. I've spoken to her several times, and the only thing I can promise is that until there is accountability, and I don't even get to pick that. There are certain things I'd like to do, I'd like to see happen, but I'm not even going to share them. Why? Because I'm not here to do that job. I'm here to say, this is what it is going to take. If we keep on not caring, I didn't care. Why? Because I had a fat house in San Francisco. I had a fat government car that I drove around on your stuff. I was putting bad guys in jail, and it wasn't my fight. And some of that rings true. when it bled over to be an institutional or an endemic problem, and the abuses that started occurring nationwide, and our directors started failing on every level, I did get involved. Probably not soon enough. I felt like I should have screamed louder. But here I am now, and until there is some measure of justice and the truth, we don't need details. There are certain things you will never know. There are certain things I will not share with you because it will impact our ability to do our jobs. But the basic facts, the way your government is run, and the people you pay, and you pay me well, at least for a few more weeks, you have a certain expectation and a right. And I promise you this, the people I know, the agents I know, and myself, we are not going to rest until that accountability, number one, because identifying what occurred here, putting it out for all the media to see and all the Americans to see, that's part of it. But it hasn't done anything. If the Bill Mills, Bill McMahon, Mark Chase, Billy Hoover, Ken Nelson, Dennis Burks are not made to face consequences, what do you think my boss now, who's the guy that's going to move up, is going to do? He's going to go, you know, really, there's no reason not to. Okay, what happened? Nah, nothing. They got some bad press, a lot of notoriety. They may write a couple books. They might have lost their positions where they're at now, but they moved them over to cushy positions, or they're still being paid at executive level pay. 2,000 guns? I like it. I use the analogy to what we did. And I say we because I'm an ATF agent, and I don't only get to take the credit for all the great work that all the agents are doing across the country in explosives and arsons and undercover work. I got to take the bad too. It was we. I liken it to flooding Oakland, California with high-grade heroin and waiting to see where the overdoses happen, to see where our most prominent drug trafficking problem is. I have yet to hear one of the people involved in this. They go, oh, well, we're going to dismantle and disrupt, and we're going to follow this and follow that. You're only going to follow to the border because you didn't tell the Mexicans. So, understand this. The only way that it is going to change, trust me, I'm not a politician, never will be, for obvious reasons. I'm not pretty enough. But these gentlemen over here are. And you know what? You sent a message tonight that you care. I know you got football practice, you got cheerleading practice, you got dinner, you got take home work. I know you got stuff to do. But that's why I'm here, because I knew you guys would be here, because Arizona don't play. You guys just don't play. I want nothing out of this but for justice to be served, for Brian Terry's mama to know that somebody cared, because the worst nightmare for an agent happened last December, and no one can explain how or why it happened. And I think that's the bare minimum the Arizona law enforcement community deserves, and you as our taxpayers deserve. So I'm going to keep out there. I'll answer any question. I'll stay as long as you want to stay, or anything that I haven't answered. But understand now, this is in the hands of the Oversight Committee and Senator Grassley and those who are going to force accountability. If there's accountability on this, there's hope. If there's no accountability and it's business as usual, I'm going to retire, because I will not live under that sort of leadership, at least taking your money.
Wow. So I hope all you people that came have enjoyed so far. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have question and answer. Now, that's going to be difficult because we have this big old pit here. So I need people to ask a question, to yell out, and if you have a soft voice, ask the husky person next to you to yell out for you. And again, keep them short, and I won't be able to get to everybody because we're going to just go as long as we can because we need to give some time after. Because I know some of you want to talk personally with people up here, so we're going to leave a little time for that too. So okay, here we go.
I want to ask Paul.
Which Paul? We have two Pauls.
Okay, now.
Okay.
I want to know, did anybody in the police force or law enforcement in the state know this Fast and Furious was going on, or were you kept in the dark too?
We were kept in the dark. This is where we found out about it when it was on the news. You know, all of us, and this is where even ATF, right? Down in Mexico, all these guns were showing up and they're like, what the heck's going on? They didn't even tell their brother agents down there in Mexico. And so now, this is where, honestly, I never thought I'd see the day that I don't trust all these people in our federal government. I've always had suspicion, but when you see this information that's being, they're not volunteering the information. It's different when people come forward and say, this is what happened, this is where the mistakes were made, and as importantly, this is how we're going to correct it so it never happens again, right? That's important even in personal relationships. It's not to avoid or try to conceal or hide. They've done everything wrong here in the aftermath, and they haven't owned this. And this is like, they can't stop it now, because it's like toothpaste out of the tube. The guns are gone. We're not going to catch these guns until they show up, as Paul Gosar said, on crime scenes. Or they're confiscated in traffic stops like here on Interstate 10, where we've had 40, 50 guns confiscated. Or we raid a house and there's guns confiscated. It's literally, you see our hero police officers who are here from Oro Valley, it's like, and we love and appreciate our police officers. Listen, these officers, what are you going to tell their wives or their families or their children? Because it's as real as this, folks. We, all of our men and women who serve us locally, can be facing the barrels of guns from these bad guys that our own government gave. It's like, this is how serious it is. It's just the beginning, and we were never told, to answer your question.
All right, right here, in the red shirt.
You have all done fantastic presentations. I'm a little confused. Where are the teleprompters?
Those aren't in the Tea Party budget. Nor are the styrofoam columns at the back. We don't have to put those either. That's going to make things hard. How about, go ahead.
If you can find somebody culpable in Congress, will the DOJ actually
Repeat
take the...
Repeat the question. Not you.
Okay.
Mr. Gosar, if you can find somebody guilty of a crime, will the DOJ actually prosecute them?
Well, that's part of our problem right now. He said, okay, the pretty one will, no. He said, if we find somebody that's guilty of doing something wrong, are we going to hold them accountable? The answer is absolutely yes.
The thing is that you have to find out all the facts. That's what's key here, is finding out who is all responsible for it. And I want to take you common sense-wise. It involved an international border, which means who should be involved? No, Secretary of State. Defense of a border, Napolitano. Attorney General Holder, which means it was a cabinet level decision. That's what the speculation should be. Common sense people, I'm common sense people. I understand how things work. I understand a little bit about understanding about how our military and our police forces work. They answer to somebody. Think of the consequences, please. The opposite is not a good example. Vigilantes going at this, unchecked, unregulated, unsupervised? That's inappropriate. The process is they will be held accountable. The process is now what we need is shine that light. I'm also going to tell you that the state is also going to look at this because you as citizens from the state of Arizona were impugned. These officers are going to spend their lives with these guns trying to protect you, but you will also find yourself at the other end as well. So it definitely needs to have accountability, and we will hold that. That will be from the House, it will be from the Senate, and it'll have multiple jurisdictions. That's how you get these things done.
As part of the younger generation, do you feel that this is going to be the turning point against the shenanigans in Washington? Is this going to be the end of the administration of corruption, underhanded deals,